Welcome back. This is a Aleks homework video on understanding the purpose of SI prefixes. Prefixes tell you what unit of 10 something is magnified by or reduced by. So since everything in the metric system is in powers of 10, it's actually really easy to do the math. So you can have 1 meter or 10 meters or 100 meters. Well, once you start getting into really big units of meters, it's actually easier to think in kilometers than it would be in thousands of meters. So once you start having a number of, say, bytes of information on your computer, it's when you get huge numbers, you don't want to think in millions of bytes, which is megabytes, or billions of bytes or trillions of bytes. That number becomes cumbersome. So it's easier to think in a more encompassing number that would make the numerals smaller and easier to deal with. So if I could add 3 kilometers to 5 kilometers, then end up with 8 kilometers, that rather than dealing in thousands or millions or billions or whatever. So this is a way to practice some of these prefixes. Okay, so just as a bit of a review before we do it, some of these are going to be much bigger. So for instance, if you were to have a mega, which is a unit, which is a capital M, that's going to be 1,000,000 times bigger. Well, 1,000,000, if I were to write 1,000,000, so there's 100,000, so that's 1,000, okay. It's going to be 10 to the, I've got too many zeros. Sorry, forgive me. So I've got 1,000,000 is 10 to the 6, because I've got 6 zeros here. So that's mega. If I have kilo, which is smaller, okay, so kilo, which is a small letter K, it's only 1,000 times bigger. So when you count the zeros, it's going to be 10 to the 3 times. If you want something that's smaller than the unit, so both of these would be bigger than the unit. If you want something that's smaller, like deci, so deci like decimal, okay, so that's 1/10 of something. So you're dividing by 10. Well, when you divide by 10, you've got 10 to the -1. That's divided by 10. If you keep going down to, say, 100, centi, it's going to be 1 divided by 100. Well, that's going to be negative also, but I've got 2 zeros here, so it's -2. And then the one you use often, milli, like a millimeter, is 1 divided by 1,000, which is 10 to the -3. Okay, so you can go on. There's very used ones that are very commonly used all the way up to 1 billion and 1 billionth. Very, very common, and it would be very helpful to practice these so you can get to know what you're talking about. Okay, so the first one here is asking for deciseconds. Okay, 7 seconds is how many deciseconds? Well, a decisecond is smaller. Okay, there are 10 deciseconds in every second. Okay, so because it's a smaller unit, so there's 10 of them fitting in every second. And so it's just 1 down, so there's 10 of these in every second. Well, I've got 7. So that's going to be 70 deciseconds. Okay. How about the next one? There are 500 centigrams in how many grams? Well, this is a small unit. Okay. This is a big unit. So if I have 500, I'm going to have less grams than I do centigrams, because this is a very small unit, tiny unit. So I've got lots of them making up a bigger unit here. Well, I know that there are, centi is 100. There's 100 centigrams in every gram. Well, I've got 500, so that means I only have 5 grams. Next one here, I've got 7 megaliters. Well, 7 will simply be multiplied by whatever mega is, and mega is going to be million. So this is going to be 7 million, or 7 times 10 to the 6 liters. Once you get into really big numbers, it's easier to use scientific notation. The last one here, 9,000 meters, in how many kilometers? Well, a kilo is 1,000. So you're going to divide as you go from something small to something big. Your number is going to get smaller. You're dividing by 1,000. So this will end up being 9 kilometers. Okay, this really deserves a lot of practice, and you may have to practice a lot in order to do perfect at this. Thank you.